Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. There's been a number of notable heavyweight fights that have been announced in the past week. The two biggies, Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker, but there has been a lot happening elsewhere in the division. But because of those couple of big fights, they've taken the oxygen away from a number of other things that have been happening. So I thought, well, I'll drop another heavyweight news and brief video just to try catch a chunk of some of what has been largely falling under the radar. Some of it you may have seen, others maybe not. And if you do like the video, remember to hit like, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Okay, let's get into it. Heavyweight contender Adam Kownacki has improved to 17-0 after stopping a former cruiserweight in the form of Iago Kaladze on the Errol Spence Lamont Peterson undercard in Brooklyn, New York at the Barclays Center. Kownacki had Kaladze down on the mat twice in the fight. And after the second knockdown in the sixth, which was brought about by a nasty uppercut that wouldn't have looked out of place in the video game Tekken, and was followed up by an overhand right, the fight was waved off. Earlier, Kaladze had been down in the fourth as well. But it wasn't all one-way traffic, with Kaladze trading well with Kownacki in the first round and bloodying the Brooklyn-based Polish fighter's nose. And the doctor even had to check that at the end of the first round. In the second round, it was also entertaining. And got to say, while Kownacki, he got the win here, it wasn't the greatest performance. He looked slower, he looked plodding, he was out of shape. He definitely looked a shadow of himself from the Spilka fight, which was basically a career best performance. And the clear reason that he didn't look as good in this fight was he was well out of shape. He weighed in 18 pounds heavier at 260 pounds for this one. And I know I've seen some people say, oh, well, he's a rise to the occasion type fighter. But I just don't think you can take fights off like this one and think, oh yeah, I'm going to beat this guy, because he didn't look that polished in this fight. And sure, Kownacki, he's got some buzz behind him after a good year in 2017. But if he wants to compete at the top level, really make some noise, he needs to come into every fight in good shape. Blowing up between fights, it's never good. And I think we're going to have to keep an eye on this one to see if it is going to become an issue. But he moves on, 17-0. We'll have to see where he goes from here. He was expected to get past Kaladze, but actually Kaladze, in that opening round or two, he was actually tagging Kownacki basically at will. They had some good exchanges, and he did bust his nose up some. Prospect/contender Izu Ogono, he has announced he will be back in the ring this May in a card in Poland. So Mariusz Wach, he will also be on the same card. See this promotional poster on screen, but the two are not fighting each other. Instead, from what I have been able to ascertain through Google Translate of news items and such, Izu, he will be facing the guy on the left bottom corner, Artur Binkowski, who has a 16-5-3 record according to BoxRec. And he'll actually be going into that fight against Izu with 4 losses on the bounce, and he hasn't fought in 3 years. So you'd have to say that Izu will go in a heavy favourite for this one. And Ogono, he was last in the ring almost a year ago, February 25th, when he was knocked out by Dominic Breazeale in a Fight of the Year contender. It's very good to see Izu Ogono coming back to the ring, because he is an exciting fighter. He's got a lot to offer the division. Contender and former IBF champion Charles Martin, he is set to take on the little-known 7-1-1 Joel Cordell in his first fight for 2018 next month in El Paso, Texas. The 25-1-1 Martin, he's currently ranked 7th in the WBC and 9th in the IBF respectively. So this does shape as a stay busy fight as Martin looks to maneuver himself back into title contention. And someone actually did hit me up on Twitter about this fight the other day. They said, you know, should he actually be going after some of the other contenders, sort of in the order of the White Helenius, that sort of level? I mean, in an ideal world, yes. But given his dire performance against Anthony Joshua, I'm not really sure a fight with Charles Martin, at this point at least, that it makes any money. I mean, who's going to go see that fight? I'm not sure people are really ready to forgive Charles Martin for effectively laying down and strolling away with several $1 million from the Joshua fight. It was one of those rare occasions, and I truly believe this, where a fighter's fan base essentially evaporated, disappeared overnight. He can make another run, no doubt. He's got some talent and he's well positioned at the moment. 7th in the WBC and 9th in the IBF. But I think the more time between 2016, that loss against Joshua, and his next big fight, the better. The Dave Allen vs Lenroy Thomas rematch for the Commonwealth title, that was also confirmed this week as being on the Kell Brook Rise Again card in March, so that's the 3rd of March. What I found very interesting about the confirmation of this clash was Eddie Hearn's warning to Allen at the press conference, telling him, this time you have to fight with desperation. This time you've got 36 minutes, and if you don't win, you won't get another chance. This is it for you. You have to make this count. You'll get paid well, but you won't get the titles. You've got to rip it off him. I was going to tell you this privately, but I thought I'd tell you in front of everybody. Actually, I probably think Eddie Hearn always intended to tell that in front of everybody, given the way he operates. And Allen, he said in return, I know, and I appreciate that. I act the clown, but I'm nobody's fool. I guess with a record of 12-3-1, and I've noted this before, Allen really, he sort of is on a bit of a knife edge here with his career at Matchroom. He's got to deliver, or ultimately he'll make way for another card filler, because essentially that has been his role at Matchroom. The World Boxing Super Series has confirmed that talented prospect Filip Hrgović, he will be taking on Tom Little on the Usyk Briedis undercard on January 27th. Now, this was something that I actually thought had already been announced, but I guess there's nothing like re-announcing and reheating an old story. So Little, he's 10-4, he's tough, he's got some decent skills, but I think Hrgović, who is currently 2-0, he'll be too slick for Little, and he will post his 3rd professional win, probably with a knockout. Judging by Hrgovic's training, seeing on screen here, he's been getting in some good sparring Daniel Dubois. And I would love to have been a fly on the wall to see who was getting the better of who in that sparring session. I mean, Hrgović, he's obviously the more polished boxer. He's got very good amateur pedigree, wins against Joseph Parker and a number of other top amateurs back in the day. But it seems like an Olympic bronze medalist as well. But Dubois, I'm sure he would have had his moments. He's got very heavy hands from what we've all seen. But not everyone is convinced about Dubois, who perhaps is receiving more than his fair share of hype. He's 6-0 currently and was ESPN's number 4 prospect in all of boxing, and a number of people have been raving about him. I actually think as well he's a very good prospect. I think in a few years he's going to be a big name in the division. Right now though, he's at 6-0 facing nobodies. It's hard to get a real gauge on him because he hasn't had enough ring time, but he looks good. But heavyweight prospect Nathan Gorman, he's maybe not so convinced about Dubois and his current standing, responding to a tweet about Dubois on Twitter, saying, he's a good lad, mate. I've sparred him hundreds of rounds, but far from a wrecking machine. Suppose time will tell. I'm sure someone like Frank Warren, Dubois' promoter, he would be rubbishing that tweet, but it does give some pause for thought. How good is Daniel Dubois? Many of us have a view on how good he might become, but right now, can he mix it with some of the other top prospects that are rolling around? And some of these guys do want to get in the ring with each other. And a good example of that is fellow prospect and Olympic silver medalist Joe Joyce. He's been fighting some decent level opposition given he's just turned pro. But he's waded in on the topic, saying of Dubois, he's a strong young guy, but I don't think he's been to any major tournaments or has that kind of experience. It's going to take him a while before he gains that experience to put up a fight against someone who's already been there and done that. So like Joyce says there, on this one, time will tell. What do you make of it? Is Dubois receiving a little bit too much hype here? Or do you think some of this is a little bit sour grapes and others who are on about the same level on the prospect stage right now are a little bit jealous of the attention Dubois is receiving as opposed to the amount they are receiving? Let me know. Drop a comment. And if you have liked the video, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_square. And I'm not sure that if I'm going to continue these heavyweight news and brief videos just because they're quite time consuming and generally they don't get as much views or watch time as other videos. But if you do like them, let me know. Okay, that's me. I'm out.